Hello, I'm Michael.
I'm Sally, and this is Wrestle MSX.
The Eatmeister starts us off, telling us it was a hard road to get here. His whole career was, I'm just a twin. He then tells his mama that they did it. Bron Breakker then decides to head out. He says he's out for the respect of the championship and Jay, telling Jay he was the better man that night and then congratulates him. Bron then offers him his hand and the two shake. Bron leaves the ring and heads to the back. Very amicable opening.
Action now as Rey Mysterio takes on Xavier Woods. Just before that, we see an advert for the Royal Rumble, which will be on February 1st. We had a West Coast pop before the break to the outside from Rey, and when we come back, we see a springboard moonsault to the outside by Rey, and then a 2 count cover back in the ring after another West Coast pop from the top rope. Rey then gets Woods in a crossroads type position. He wasn't going for the move, but Rey had Woods in that reverse DDT position. Anyway, Woods was grabbing at Rey's head, and as he did, caught his mask and pulled it off. Rey covered his face with his hands, and in doing so allowed Woods to roll Mysterio up for an unexpected win.
Backstage, we see Sonya Deville telling Lyra Valkyria that she'll be on her own tonight when she faces off against Zoey Stark. But not to worry, as she and Shayna Baszler will be out there.
Back from the break, and we see another video clip of this symbol, which are apparently runes and mean war.
We then see Xavier Woods backstage with Kofi Kingston. Kofi asks Woods if he pulled Rey's mask off on purpose. Woods, of course, says he didn't. Kofi then says that Jay offered him a title shot at his newly acquired IC belt, but Kofi said he declined and offered the title shot to Woods. Woods was overjoyed at this. While they were talking, someone was lurking in the background. We think it was Karrion Kross, but we couldn't quite make it out. And we do see Kross later, and he's in a different gear, so I don't know who it was.
Next up, Zoey Stark with Baszler and Deville against Lyra Valkyria. This was a back and forth match with Stark getting a 2 count after a missile dropkick from the ropes. Stark then went for the Z360, which Valkyria countered into a German suplex. The rest of Pure Fusion had seen enough as Deville got on the apron and Baszler distracted the referee. Valkyria, though, managed to roll up Stark for a count of about 5, but the ref wasn't looking.
As per usual.
When he did turn and see the pin, he only managed a 2 count as Stark kicked out. As she kicked out, though, she took the referee out, also sending Lyra towards the rope, where the awaiting Sonya Deville, still on the apron, delivered a knee to Valkyria's jaw. This sent Valkyria back into the ring and right into a Z360. Stark then covered Valkyria for the win. Pure Fusion were just about to beat on Valkyria when Katana Chance and Caden Carter head out for the save, where they hit the cake stand on Deville and Baszler.
Backstage, and we see Adam Pearce telling his backstage hands that he wants the match to stay in the ring. Presumably he means the Strowman rematch, so I think we can safely assume it won't. As he's talking, we see CM Punk walk by and head towards the ring.
Back from the break, Chance and Carter with Valkyria tell Jackie Redmond that when they're done with Pure Fusion Collective, they're going after the women's tag titles. At this point, they get interrupted by the Unholy Union, who tell them you can't just cut in line and those tag titles belong to us, before walking off.
Back in the ring, we have Adam Pearce and his many backstage hands as the Hell in the Cell cage is lowered down. Pearce then invites Punk and McIntyre down to the ring for one more round of verbal sparring before they have their match on Saturday at Bad Blood. Drew starts us off by saying he's wearing black in respect of his wife, that Punk's that is, and that she'll end up feeding you and leaving you after the match. Drew also said that Punk taught him to hate, but come Saturday, that hate will die with you. Drew's about to leave the ring when Punk decides to speak. Punk says he's enraged and that he's going to send McIntyre home to Scotland in a box. Guys, calm down, it's just a wrestling match. Punk then reminds Drew that he's prayed for this and that when he's crawling and begging on Saturday, he'll look up and not be praying to a god or the devil, but CM Punk.
Backstage for some light entertainment now, which we need. As R-Truth calls Braun Strowman Andre.
3,000?
No, the Giant.
Oh, okay.
And then tells The Miz they have a match against AOP later. Miz questions who before we realise it's not AOP and truth meant AOP.
Back from the break, and Kathy Kelly asks Sami Zayn how he's dealing with Gunther's rejection of a title shot. Zayn says he won't stop coming at Gunther until he gets his shot.
Action time now as the Judgement Day's Dominik Mysterio, Carlito and McDonagh with Liv Morgan take on the LWO. Del Toro and JD start us off with Del Toro gaining the upper hand before tagging in Wilde. JD drives Wilde back into his corner while Carlito tags in. We then see a nice spot where the LWO all hit top rope moves on the Judgement Day, with Wilde hitting a 450 on Carlito for a 2 count cover. Back from the break and we see Dragon Lee cleaning house, stacking up the Judgement Day in the corner before tagging in Del Toro, who drops a coast to coast on all 3 men. Del Toro then goes for a cover on JD but only gets a 2 count. The Judgement Day all escape the ring, but they're followed by the LWO with a springboard somersault and dives through the ropes. McDonagh then gets thrown back into the ring, with Wilde climbing the turnbuckle to finish him off. Morgan now comes into play, distracting the referee. As she does, Finn Balor comes from nowhere, pushes Wilde off the top rope into the ring, allowing JD to hit Devil inside and cover Wilde for the win. Judgment Day picking up the victory.
Balor then has a few words for Damian Priest. Balor says that it was Priest that needed him and that the Judgment Day never needed Priest. Liv Morgan then says she's the greatest women's champion of all time when she gets interrupted by Rhea Ripley. Rhea discloses that Dom's claustrophobic and will be crying and soiling himself when in the shark cage. You don't want to be under that. He'll also have the best seat in the house when Liv realises that she's not as good as her and loses the championship. Priest, meanwhile, has got in the ring behind the Judgment Day and takes them out. Dom and Liv escape the ring, but Rhea heads down, plants a headbutt on Morgan and then leads Dom to the shark cage, smashing his head into it. Rhea manages to get Dom in the cage, but as she's about to close the door, Morgan makes a comeback and takes out Rhea.
We then see Sheamus telling Butch he's gone too far and offers him one final banger.
What, sausage?
A Donnybrook match. Nope, me neither.
Chad Gable has a match next against Kofi Kingston. Gable accompanied, of course, by the rest of American Made, Woods with Kofi. Just before the match, though, we hear of the passing of Pete Rose.
Back from the ads and we hear from Damage Control, who challenge Belair and Cargill to a tag title match before threatening to take over WWE. Who is writing these scripts because everyone is saying the same thing? Can we change it up a little bit?
Yeah, you ain't got it. Can we be dominating? You don't always have to be taking over. Calm yourselves. So here we go. Gable Kingston. Gable somehow suffers a cut to his forehead before we see him German suplexing Kingston on the outside. When we come back from yet more adverts, we see Gable delivering a flying headbutt from the top rope and covering Kingston for 2. Kofi mounts a mini comeback before we see multiple pin attempts, counter pins and reversal pins, all only for 2. The action then spills to the outside after Gable escaped a pin attempt by Woods. With American Made regrouping, Kofi leaps from the ring steps, taking them out. But just as Julius is about to attack Kingston, Woods takes him out. With the 2 competitors now back in the ring, Kofi goes for Trouble in Paradise, but Woods trips Gable from outside the ring, which leads to Kofi missing his move. This gives Gable the initiative, allowing him to hit Chaos Theory and pin Kingston for the win.
Backstage is busy tonight as we see Bronson Reed telling Jackie Redmond that he took months off Seth's career and when he comes back he's going to take years off his life.
What is going on tonight?
He also says he's going to be the last monster standing. We then see Adam Pearce prepping his backstage staff about keeping the monsters in the ring during their match. And as he does, Gunther walks through with a smile on his face and belt on his shoulder. We then get another video from the Wyatt Sicks. It says, anger festers into rage and not to go down this path as it'll end in your demise. Is this a message or a warning to someone? We then get another QR code, which we will link below, and we see the bride unveiled. It's no one we recognise, so is this a new member?
I mean, I don't think it's Cross or Bliss. I mean, if it is, they've done a good job of making them look not like that.
Yeah, different, yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, as Gunther makes his way to the ring, we learn that Ilya Dragunov has an ACL injury picked up during a house show, and he's likely to be out for between 6 to 9 months, which is a hell of a long time. Gunther loves every aspect of being champion, but he hates that he has to deal with Sami Zayn every week. He's annoying. And cue Sami Zayn. Sami says it can all end if you just give me a title match. You're not on my level, replies Gunther. Sami accuses Gunther of being scared as he's already beaten him for the Intercontinental title. Gunther then tells us a little story about him and his father before Sami retorts that Gunther's showing his father that he's a coward. Gunther snaps at this and beats on Zayn, finishing with a powerbomb. Gunther then tells Sami he's got a match.
Awesome Truth up next with a match against AOP.
Not AOP.
No,
Okay.
AOP. AOP with Cross and Scarlett, of course. AOP makes short work of Truth with hard hits and quick tags. Cross in the ear of Miz the whole time. Truth finally gets a tag with Miz coming in, but Miz does the dirty on Truth, attacking him and then leaving the ring and heading back up the rampway. AOP then perform What a Rush on Truth and pin him for the win.
Can't believe that. My favourite tag team they
I
were.
know.
Gutted. Back from the break and backstage once again. We hear Kathy Kelly asking Gunther if Sami Zayn got under his skin. As he's about to answer, Bron Breakker enters the frame. He looks at Gunther's belt and says that he wanted to see it for himself. Gunther says he really is a badass before Bron wanders off saying he'll see him soon. In the background we can also see Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston having some kind of disagreement, which I'm not surprised about.
We then find out that Gunther and Zayn's championship title match will be on Raw next Monday, as will Sheamus and Dunn's Donnybrook match, as well as Jay defending his IC belt against Woods.
Last match of the night, Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed in a last monster standing match. Braun smashes Reed twice with the ring steps before then standing on them and chokeslamming Reed through the announcer's table. When we come back from the break, we have 5 chairs neatly set up, but they don't stay up long as Strowman sends Reed crashing through them from the apron. The fight then heads up the rampway to the side of the stage and onto some equipment. Reed manages to get Strowman up on his shoulders and performs a Death Valley driver and put him through 2 tables. Strowman beating the 10 count. We then head back to the ring where Braun throws Reed into the ring steps before yet another break.
We come back and see Reed barging Strowman through the timekeeper's barrier before then spearing him through the crowd barrier. About 20 backstage hands and Adam Pearce come out to check on the audience to make sure they're okay. They are, by the way, no one got hit. While this is happening, Reed throws Strowman back into the ring, climbs the top rope and tsunamis him. The ref's not looking, so doesn't count Strowman being down. So Reed goes up the top rope again. As he does, the ref from outside the ring is urging Reed not to jump again.
You can see this in plain sight, by the way.
But Reed does, hitting Braun with another tsunami. Reed turns around looking for the referee to count, but the refs decided to go off and help the audience members again. Because clearly the 20 backstage hands that are already there aren't enough. He literally just watched Reed tsunami Strowman because he was telling him not to jump. So why is he then not counted? Why is he just going away?
I think these refs need a talking to.
Reed, incensed by this, as was I, and goes for the ref, but can't get to him, so grabs 2 backstagers and throws them into the ring.
Reed then throws the ref to the ground. Adam Pearce sees this and has a go at Reed. Reed grabs Pearce by the collar. The backstagers try to separate them, but then Braun Strowman launches himself off the top rope to the outside, taking everybody out. I can't believe that he did that.
Ouch.
Reed and Strowman emerge from the carnage, with Strowman throwing Reed back into the ring. Strowman climbs the turnbuckle. Reed meets him up there, so you know what's coming, a superplex. As the behemoths land, the ring collapses and the ref starts the count. Reed crawls to the ring steps that are in the ring to aid him up. But then, as foreshadowed earlier in the night, Seth Rollins makes his comeback. He runs down to the ring, curb stomps Reed onto the steps he was using to get up, and then drinks in the crowd's adulation as Strowman makes it to his feet and the referee's count reaches 10, counting Reed out. Braun Strowman wins the Monster vs. Monster match. It was good to see Seth back. That should mix things up again.
Yeah.
Because if that McIntyre Punk thing comes to an end,
Then, yeah,
they
they've got
need another
someone
big
else to go
player
to.
coming in.
Yeah.
Miz, what you doing? You and R-Truth,
I know.
amazing.
Best
Can't believe-
buds.
Oh. And then it looks like Braun's going for Gunther.
Yeah, which I don't mind.
No, yeah. Get Zayn out of the picture. Not
Yeah.
a fan of him. Gets beaten up too much. Always makes a miraculous comeback.
Yeah.
Change it up a bit. But thanks again for watching.
And don't forget to join us Wednesday for our Bad Blood predictions.